tell me, like how you woke up or how you got conscious to the level that you are.
I don't know if I'm that conscious. I mean, whatever. Okay. So I think I was always kind of obsessed with like how people think or like why people feel certain things. Like I found my fifth grade yearbook from when I was a kid,
Mm.
and it said that I wanted to be a neurosurgeon because, and I remember like thinking that because I wanted to like pick at people's brains. I didn't even understand like that a neurosurgeon was just a physical like surgeon, but
Yep.
it was the idea of like opening people's heads up, you know? And I remember being obsessed with even like RoboCop, like the thought that they put his consciousness into like a robot, like what does that even mean? And I would say like my when I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, I remember that my great grandmother died, who was kind of like my mom's matriarch. She would have Sunday dinner and all this stuff. And I remember she died, and me and my brother like didn't really understand what it meant. My brother's 2 years younger than me. And I remember we had a room together when we were kids, like at that age. And I remember us both like being afraid to go to sleep because we thought we were gonna die. Like we didn't before that point, I don't even think we understood that things died, you know? And I might have been a little younger than that, but besides the point, I feel like that was like a shift in awareness in the sense that I knew there was something else. You know, I didn't really understand it, but I was kind of obsessed with it in a way. Like, what do you mean? Like, she's not here anymore? You know, like, where did she go?
Yeah.
And, like, do we all go there? And, like, when do we go there exactly? So I think that kind of made me always, like, think about that in the back of my mind. And
Hmm.
as I reflect, I remember in elementary school, I had a cousin. I was like always the biggest kid. I'm a bigger guy, you know. Um, and my cousin, who was like a smaller kid, used to have to walk me to my bus because I was hyper fixated on like time and like how I always thought I was going to be late for the bus. Like I was always thought I was going to be like late or like I was missing something, you know? And
How
I
did
think that
how
what?
did he
Sorry.
like him walking you to the bus? How did that help with the
It
time
just
thing?
made me feel comfortable that you know, I think it also has to touch in on like the thought of being alone, like dying alone. And like if somebody's with me, it's like I won't, I don't know. There's something to like missing. Like, and I, even today, like something that I've talked to you about a recent mushroom trip, I think like there was always this like obsession with death because to touch back in with my mom is her father died when she was a kid. She was like 17, 18, and she had younger brothers and she had one older brother. And he just went to work one day and died. He died in like an accident. And my mom was the one who like found out, like the first one to find out. She answered the door when um, somebody came, I don't know if it was the police or whatever, came to say that he died, right? And so I feel like her family in general, my uncles who were very close to me growing up, you know, kind of raised me, they all have this like neurosis and like this connection to like death, and like it kind of coming out of nowhere. Like my mom always says, like, she never healed from it. She still talks about it like it was yesterday. And she'll say, like, he went to work one day and just never came home. And it's like, that was repeat, that was my child, like she was always like neurotic about different things, like, you know, anything that kind of seemed a little dangerous to her, things that really aren't that dangerous, but to her were like, like, going to the beach. Like, I grew up on the ocean. Like, she would always be worried we were gonna like drown, or like, where like me, I take my kids into my kids are jumping in waves when they were 4 years old, 3 years old, with me, or so it was always like this, like, fear of death kind of always lingering.
Mm. Do you still have it?
No, no. So I would say probably, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago now. I when I first started, having mediumistic experiences and kind of waking up, I was always into alternative ways of thinking. I got into like shamanic work and shamanic journeying, and then took a heroic dose of mushrooms by myself. Um, fasted. I fasted and I took about like a quarter of mushrooms. And they also were like, they were on my altar for like a week. And that mushroom trip probably took me about 2 to 3 years to process.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I was schizophrenic. It was also like a time where I was kind of discovering my ability to help people pass, and dealing with like attachments and stuff like that. So I thought I was about maybe like schizophrenic for about 2 years after
Mm.
that. But it really, I think I needed it. It like really like cracked open my ego and like death. And I had like a death experience where I felt like I died. So that kind of helped me get over my fear of death, I would say.
When you say that you felt like you were schizophrenic, what was it that you were experiencing that gave you that impression?
I think I felt like, I think when you have like ego deaths or even like death experiences, it peels kind of a layer of protection that you had up.
Hmm.
So when you peel that layer off, I think you are more sensitive,
Mm.
and you're more aware. And I also, I still like all the things I've done. I've probably dealt with, I don't know, 2,000 attachment type things,
Like
and I
negative
feel,
entities?
yeah, like not necessarily negative. I think we could go on a whole sidetrack on that subject, but
We will.
I don't fully understand, people. It's like anything, especially with spiritual stuff. It's like people claim they know like what's going on,
Mm.
but I still, like, all the things I've done with from mediumship and stuff like that, I don't fully understand attachments yet. And I feel like out of most people, I feel like I have a lot of experience dealing with it. And I still don't fully get it, because I think, so when I took that mushroom trip, I got really messed up from it. And I think I had like some sort of interdimensional entity with me that was affecting, and he kind of like, it kind of like latched on to like I had some sort of solar plexus issue to begin with, and it kind of latched itself in there, and it took a while to kind of get rid of, to the point where I went to go see somebody who was like a mentor to me, who really dealt with it. And even after she dealt with it, there was still like some gook, or some energetic gook, that was kind of lingering, to the point that, this is how crazy it is. I think I just recently finished like clearing everything out, you
Interesting.
know?
Can
Yeah.
you tell me more about the entity?
It was some sort of parasitic entity that I think I just didn't, at the time, I was in the wrong place to do them. And I, as much as I thought I was honoring the mushrooms and putting a more protective space, I really didn't. And I was in such a vulnerable place. I was at a beach house with like a group of people that I know.
Mm,
I felt comfortable with them, but it kind of just like, you've done psychedelics, right? Or
yep,
no? Okay,
definitely.
so you know that like any little thing can kind of sidetrack you to kind of spiral,
Yeah.
like, and I did it with a couple people, and I was intending on like, and they know who I am. I was intending on like kind of doing it in a sacred way, and like some random person like showed up at the house and kind of just like shifted everything. They had like a
Oh,
weird vibe to them. And then it's funny, I remember my my father kept calling me on my phone, and like, and my brother is a New York City police officer, and I somehow, me and my brother are very close. We had, my parents had a very rough relationship growing up, so we were kind of depended on each other. And I was the older brother, so I kind of always was like, there was a point where I kind of viewed him as like, like I'm more fatherly to him in a way.
mm-hmm.
And that's not true. He's a grown ass man, and he's a strong, independent person. It was just kind of some sort of role I put myself in. But my father kept calling me, and I didn't want to answer because I was on mushrooms. And for some reason, I got in my head that my brother got killed as a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, that just like spiraled. And then all of a sudden it like kind of spiraled into the fact that we all were dead, actually, because I started to have an ego death, and I started to like merge with like the oneness, and I was just like, oh, he's not dead, we're all dead, you know.
I love
it,
it.
yeah. And it was funny because I don't know if I was married with my wife at the time, or we were at least, yeah, I think we might have been just married or about to get married, and she was with me. And if she wasn't with me, I probably would have really lost it. But she always tells the story because, um, this is how deep I was in. So once I realized that we all died, right?
Mm.
I I started to tell her that I was excited because I was going to get to see my grandma. And she kept just saying like, I remember just being like, she always tells a joke like, because I would come up to her and be like, I'm just so excited, like, oh my god, like, I'm gonna see grandma in the morning, like, I haven't seen grandma, because my grandma was like someone who's very close to me. She still is like, she was like my main ancestral spirit guide. She died. She's somebody who kind of nurtured my awakening from the other side. She was kind of the first spirit that came to me with like full awareness. and like I knew it was her, and she would always kind of nudge me in different directions.
Is this before or after this epic trip?
She died before the trip.
No, but did she come to you in that like very visceral way?
Oh, yeah, before. It was
Yeah.
probably like, this mushroom trip was earlier in my awakening. When I was first really understanding like my mediumship abilities. So I know death is like I've died, and basically, where we were, I thought was kind of like a purgatory, like heaven type place where we were just kind of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking down. They have like a boardwalk, like, but it's like more of a nature boardwalk. Like there was just like this boardwalk, and there was like nature on both sides. And I remember seeing like angels and demons, and like I was like, oh, we're just like kind of walking through heaven, and like my wife is kind of with me. And then I remember just really like um my wife was kind of like my, she kept me stable, grounded. I remember just laying with her and just feeling like this, like being in like this cocoon of like love. And then I felt like kind of it would like go waves of like evil and good, and this like whole dynamic, and like I would fade into evil and fade into like this like awareness. And then at some point I felt like something like kind of came into me, and it just made me feel like very, it was like you could almost just like, I remember like walking and feeling the trees,
Mm.
like really, like even now, like I go outside, I could feel trees if I want to tap in, but like it was like I couldn't uh shut it down. It was like super aware. And it's like I remember walking my, even after the trip, I remember walking my dog, and I could feel like my dog, this sounds crazy, but I could feel my dog's thoughts, and then I would like go in waves, and it would just like consume me kind of. And that's when I really thought like I fucking lost my mind. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love the epic trip stories.
Yeah. It's just like, it wasn't, it wasn't like there was so much to go on. It was kind of just like I said, kind of, I think it was helped me kind of break down my idea of like good and evil, duality. It was like my first awareness of like, the duality is bullshit, really.
Mm.
All that stuff is made up. It's all conditioned, from the bigger picture. Everything is the same, like there's no, I don't think there's, I don't think God really has morality, has anything to do with it.
How could it? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
otherwise all the bad things in the world wouldn't be happening. Like it's literally just experience, and that's
Yeah.
it. Because it's like the unconditional love is so purely neutral. It's just like, hey, do whatever the fuck you want, have whatever experience you want, believe whatever you want, construct your reality out of those beliefs in whichever way you want, and that's fine. You're
Yeah,
supported in
but
that.
it's like I always thought that, even as a kid. Like it
Mm.
never made sense to me, like why. It's like your parents, or in a sense, it's like why would, if like God, in the perspective that God is like the grandparent, the super parent, it's like why would God send you to hell?
Yep,
Like
that's interesting.
it doesn't even make sense,
Mm. I mean, I
right?
guess like for me, when I was growing up, we weren't religious. I'm not sure I ever bought into anything, but I was conditioned kind of by like watching cartoons or whatever, you'd see heaven and it'd be all like fluffy white clouds and pearly gates and whatever, and then hell would be fire and brimstone and underworld and all that stuff. And I'm not sure I ever bought into it. And the few times that I was taken to church, it was just like I was bored. Like I was just playing with my toys. And eventually, mom was like, "Do you still want to go?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Okay, then we don't have to." I'm like, "Oh, what a convenient." Now I'm like, "What a convenient way for you to get out of going to the thing that you thought that you had to go to. Make it my decision." Um,
Yeah.
but I had like a concept. I remember like asking for help, or making bargains with God, I guess,
Yeah.
when I was a kid. But then at a certain point, I figured out that the tooth fairy wasn't real, because my friend got like $50 and a little tiny little fairy note written by her parents, and I had like $2 because my dad was like cheap as shit. And I was like, something's up. Like that's not how it works. And I asked my mom, and she was like, I think I need to tell her the truth. So she told me, and it fucked up my whole world, because I was like, okay, so the tooth fairy is not real. So Easter Bunny and Santa's also not real. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I was like 5, maybe 6. Uh, and then I was like, and that means God's not real, because like it's all just fucking smoke and mirrors made by the adults
Yeah.
to, I don't know, keep you in line or what, because there's always like the whole like, if you're not good, like Santa won't give you gifts or whatever the fuck. And it like broke my heart. Is truly the most emotionally painful thing I'd ever experienced, even to this day. Uh
I'm sorry. That's funny.
it fucking it hurt. No, it is funny. It's like, I don't know, my little detective mind was just like, something's fucking off. Like it just seems like lies, but it shattered like everything magical about the world. And across the road from my house when I was growing up, one of my friends had what was called the fairy shop, and it sold like all these little fairy goodies and unicorn stuff and glitter, and it was just the most fun thing in the world. And I loved everything mystical and weird and fey, and it was like, a little girl just loving unicorns, and like that moment just broke it, all of it for me. Like I was heaving crying for hours. My mom's just like sitting by my bed just being like, "Oh my god, what have I done?" Like horrified at the amount of tears that's coming out of me. And then after that, I was just like, okay, well, nothing mystical is real. You know what I mean? Like it's all bullshit. And I became like permanently allergic to everything woo from that moment on. And I was like an atheist, because it was all
Really?
just lie. And I was like, okay, so my whole I don't know, experience of life got built on this idea of like, I call it monkeys on a space rock. Like it's all like pure scientific materialism. You know what I mean? Like we're just evolved primates. For whatever reason, we've decided that rent is a thing. I just got to survive until I die. And I lived my whole life like that up until around about 30. But at 27, I started taking psychedelics, uh, which I apparently is like after the brain's like fully solidified into adult state. I feel like that is the exact age. And for some reason, that was necessary for me. But all my trips, I was just like, okay, it's just like hallucinations, right? So I had experiences as a space whale. I was a mountain. I was a shell at one point. Uh, then I had this phenomenal trip. Whew. And I thought, like, I had like kind of a similar experience. I thought that my brother was coming to kill me. I was me, and I was the earth, and I was the whole universe. And simultaneously, all these three versions of me were dying and being reborn. And I'm like conceiving all of this in my mind, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying right now. Like, it was truly horrifying. And I was also having a parallel timeline experience in which I had gotten in a car with my very recent ex at the time. And this was also kind of playing out in the physical. So, like, he had come to, like, pick me up, and I told him something terrible that I did. And then he like left me there and drove home. But there was another timeline. I'm 100% certain there was another timeline in which I stayed in that car and told him halfway through the trip, and then we had a massive car accident. And I could feel myself flying out of a windshield of his car, all the little bits of glass like tinkling all around me, and like, flying through the air and gonna smash into the pavement or whatever. And then I called my mom and I was like, "Help, I'm dying." Like in real life, I called her and she was like, "Oh no, what have you taken?" She thought I'd like drunk a bottle of bleach or something. Don't know why. And I'm like, "You need to like please just come and hold me." And she comes back and I'm still experiencing all of the levels of the universe and me personally dying, and I was convinced that I was about to be murdered, and that my mom had also crashed into the car, like she was the other car that had like flown me, and it was just the layers of death I can't explain. And still I was an atheist. Like, and still after all of that I was just like, yep, hallucinations, psychedelics, weird, um and it still took me, I think it was probably another year or so after that. And then I was just sober and reading a comic book, and suddenly the universe was like, and I was like, oh fuck, it's all real. Like just like that. You know what I mean? Doesn't
What do you think triggers that?
I mean the comic book that I was reading, the character in it was like climbing the Kabbalah. And I got to this page, it was Bina, and there was like a 2-page spread of Babylon, and it just broke my brain open. I was like crying, and I'm like, why am I crying? And then I like I looked out my window, but at the same time I was like looking into the universe, and I could see all the cogs and gears and how everything like was interrelated, and how if you do something it like has this like knock-on effect kind of thing, forwards and backwards in time. Like it was
Yeah.
just like I could just see the whole fucking universe just like that in that moment.
Do you think it's like the Kabbalah is like some sort of like subconscious trigger?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole book. So it was Promethea by Alan Moore, and I didn't know, but he's a ceremonial magician, and the whole comic book was like an initiation, I think, into
Yeah.
like magic and spirituality and stuff. And
What's the name of that book again?
Promethea,
Yeah, I think I've heard of that, or I don't know if I've read it, but
I might have told you about it like
yeah.
years ago.
So like you think that the book had some sort of like energetic?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, look, I think that all art, if it's like, made by an artist that's like properly following their passion, like channeling whatever it is that they do, and they're in their joy while they're making it, or they're, whatever it is that they inspired by. Uh, I think all of that art has like universal messages. Alan Moore talks about how he feels like the artists of society are the ones who first bring in certain like messages or certain downloads.
Yeah.
And I 100% believe that. And
Yeah,
then,
me too.
other people pick up on it, the channelers and the whatever else.
Well, it's the same thing as like if you see like I think it's also like like they always show the Simpsons like are predicting some sort of thing to happen, or you ever see stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think like a lot of art is just tapped into like this universal knowledge, and sometimes like synchronicities just slip through, you
I
know?
think we also create through the art as well. Like, I don't know, The Simpsons, right? You get a team of artists, writers, drawers, whatever, and then they create something that hits the collective unconscious, like en masse. How many people watch The Simpsons? Like
Yeah.
millions,
Yeah.
billions, maybe. And then it can be seeded in that way. You know what I mean? Like creation isn't just one way, it happens both ways,
Yeah.
forwards and backwards in time. And I don't know, the messages come in, but we also create them from the unconscious.
Yeah. All right. So you have that moment of like that aha moment, and what does it do to you?
I mean, okay, so I had that moment, and then I was like, well, what the fuck was that? Like, what is that? What is this? Like, I need to know more. Like, it's just an insatiable curiosity, if I had to put a label on it. It was just like, I must know what the fuck this means about everything. I'm still on that journey.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I just followed all these breadcrumbs. I found um, another magician, Damien Eccles. I got onto Jessa Reed, got onto Bashar, but like for the last couple of years, it's just been like I'll just read The Matrix now, you know.
This is I have Damien Eccles' book
There you go.
right on my desk
Mine's in
where
the
I'm
lounge
doing.
room.
Yeah, I bought like three of these books because they always fall apart. Um,
Oh, so you use them that much?
I like I do like there was a whole phase where I did like the Shem operation ritual like every day,
Oh, really? What
and
did
it's
it do
kind of
for you?
I don't know. I just like doing it. I felt better doing it. I
Okay.
felt like clearer. Um, Also, like I'm somebody who I think enjoys discipline. Like I do better if I have discipline with myself.
Yeah, I hate
So
it.
it's like, yeah. So I discipline has always proven good for me in my life.
Mm.
And I have like I I think I had an astrologer tell me once that I have like the placement that I have with Saturn and Pluto gives me like an obsessive discipline.
Mm.
Like it's if I'm into something, I'm 1000% into it, and I have like a very strong will. Like
But is it like, do you get moments where you're like, oh, I can't be bothered doing this, but no, I know I need to, and then you do it?
I used to be like that. I don't do it anymore.
Okay.
That took a lot of like growth to kind of. I would do things that would, even if it was painful, I would do it just
Mm.
because I just always got results when I was like that.
Yeah.
So that was a hard kind of thing to break. But yeah, like I think he is good at kind of breaking down things to make it simple, which I kind
Eccles.
of yeah, where
Yeah.
which I kind of admire. Like I like simplifying things so people can easily understand them, whether it's like
Me too.
mediumship or whatever. I kind of like where you can make it digestible for anybody. Because some of the, especially magical books, it's like I feel like some of the books they try to actually gatekeep by like using certain vocabulary and like not really explaining it well.
Crowley.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not. I kind of just go through phase, like you said. Like I kind of. It's funny because like the way I used to be is kind of something that like I kind of internally mock now. Like, and I
Do tell.
remember. Well, so if we're still talking about like awakening, I would say a pivotal point in my awakening was uh in my 20s. So my grandma dies in my early 20s, and I start having like experiences with her. I was always into the occult. Like I was reading Crowley when I was in high school, like I was always pulled to him actually because I feel like I have some sort of past life connection to him.
Totally.
Um, and I'm not even sure what that means, and I've actually had this. It's really weird, but I had this like Hindu tantric guru who is. I'm still friends with him today. He's kind of obsessed with like Western magic, even though he's like raised. He's actually really obsessed with Helena Blavatsky and like theosophy.
Mm.
But I didn't know him from a hole in a wall, and he was a mutual friend of somebody, and he just like randomly reached out to me and said, "Do I have some sort of ancestral connection to Aleister Crowley?"
Mm.
And I was just like, "No, but I've always felt like I've had some sort of past life connection to him." I went off on a tangent. So yeah, so in my 20s, my early 20s, my grandma dies, who was she's the wife of the husband who died early. So she kind of became like obviously like the matriarch, and she was a Leo on the cusp of Cancer.
Mm.
She was a very maternal figure. I loved her very much. Like I could still feel her hug if I want to like focus on it. So she dies, and it kind of shakes up the whole family because she was kind of the glue that held everything together. And she starts coming to me in like dreams. Uh, I remember a specific dream. My wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, was sleeping over, and I remember having a dream where I hugged my grandma, but I woke up and my wife said I was like crying and like hugging her
Oh.
because I remember feeling like how, feeling my grandma there. And I had this experience where I had dreams. I had this one experience with my mom where my TV turned on in my room, and I found dimes, which was a symbol for my grandma. And then she called my house, and it would be on the caller ID. It would be my grandma's cell phone number.
Mm.
And it became an ongoing joke with people who came to my house because my TV in my room would just turn on. And I would say, "Oh, grandma's here," and then it would turn off, like stuff like that. So I was always into that stuff. And my mom's friend was having a medium at her house. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to that. Like, I don't know. I just felt like pulled to go there. And so I go to the medium night, and as the lady's in like her own room, and I walk in the room, and she says, "Are you Pete?" Like, she didn't know who I, like, whatever. And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh my God, your grandma's been hanging around with me for like about a month now." And I'm like, as soon as she said that, I felt my grandma with me. Like it was like, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. It was like my whole body became warm, and I felt my grandma just like standing next to me. And I don't even, like, at the time, I didn't even know what that meant. Like, it was just like she was standing there.
Mm.
Like, I could feel it. And I just like, she's like, I started like crying because I could feel her. And I said to the lady, I said, "Do you feel what I'm feeling right now?" And she was like, she knew that like my grandma was there. And I sat down with the lady. I like cried because I could feel it so much. And then she actually became like a mentor to me.
Mm.
And her husband had passed. And she actually, like, there was a point where I actually thought she was like, the lady was like some sort of twin flame thing because we had such like a unique connection to the point where like I could like, I would hear her like talking in my head
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Mm. I get that all the time. Like if I have a good conversation with someone and it's activating, I'll be just having like back and forth and it feels like almost like a higher self thing. And I had other friends be like, "Yeah, I feel like, after we have a I don't know, a 3-hour conversation or something, I'll be talking to you all night in my head."
Yeah. Well, just I can make it really weird. So,
Always.
um, so she was like in her 60s. She was a very like heavy woman, and when I was a kid, I would have two recurring dreams. One, I was a samurai, which I have this like past life connection, or I don't know what I think of past lives. I'm not going to call it that, but I have a something in Japan. Like I was a samurai,
Uh-huh.
um, and it became such a repetitive dream for me. I was basically this samurai in the woods by myself, and then I get like attacked, and I fight like 50 men by myself. It's like a
Mhm.
repetitive dream, whatever that means. We don't have to get into that yet, but it became such a repetitive dream. I would use it to go to sleep. Like I would try to visualize it, and it would put me to sleep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But another one I would have is there would be this big house, and it was like a long hallway, and there was rooms, and I would always go to this one room, and when I would get in the room, it would be this like very heavy woman, and she would just like hold me like a baby, and it would like comfort me, and that's the whole dream would be like that.
Right.
And then like I never really put it together until later that she kind of matched what the lady looked like, and
Mhm.
she became like almost like a grandma to me.
Mm.
And I just always thought that was an interesting coincidence because it was like a repetitive dream that I would always have.
I actually have a very similar story to that.
Really?
Yeah, I had a couple of repetitive dreams as well, but one of them it was like imagine just a white void and then a big like green hedge maze, like really tall one. But I was simultaneously in the hedge maze and looking down on it from above, and there was a man's voice who would like talk. He was like talking to me, and it sounded like I was always kind of scared of it because it always sounded like he was like annoyed at me or something, or like frustrated in a way. And I don't remember any of what was said, but then when I started listening to Bashar, I was like, he sounds kind of annoyed sometimes, like he sounds a bit
Yeah.
indignant about having to explain things. And then I
Yeah.
was like, fuck, are they like am I having this connection because I've had this experience, or like maybe it's like a forward and back in time thing because I've fallen asleep listening to Bashar before, but I don't know, there's something about it and I was just like they feel like the same energy, and as a kid I was like very intimidated by that kind of like I don't know, strict kind of silly that I'm explaining this to you kind of vibe.
Well, I think also, like, I think in general, like, some of the higher energies that I feel like I connect to sometimes are much more neutral. So they come off, I think we kind of, being in the human form, we expect, like, an angel to be like, oh, like, or whatever. But I feel like they're much more like,
Direct.
yeah, and like,
Yep.
kind of comes off as like cold sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, well that's like people have that experience of me sometimes because I'm so matter of fact about it. I'm just like this is what's happening and people are like, how dare you? Like you're just breaking my little ego shells and whatever. I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
it's just what's happening. Like I have no judgment. No
Yeah.
judgment sounds like judgment when you're judging yourself for doing that thing or having that energy or whatever.
Well, yeah, because it's like I think people are hearing things unfiltered,
Yeah.
and it comes off as like blunt and cold,
Mm.
but it's really not. It's like their projection of like hearing something unfiltered.
Yeah, it's their self. It's I mean, like, if I have no judgment about something and I tell someone, I don't know, what I'm seeing in the situation, if they judge themselves, like if they have all the conclusions of what that might mean about them, that's forcing it into their shadow, because the conclusions are like bad. If I just say what's happening without any of the conclusions, they'll still apply the conclusions in their head. And we do that. Like we do that with higher entities when they tell us things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I am ready to talk to my guides directly because I feel like they're kind of like heavy hitters, let's say.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, it's
direct.
funny. Like all, I feel like that's one of the main things I always get with like teaching classes, especially with mediumship, is like I want to know what my guides say or what my guides think or like whatever. And it's like I don't even really know my guides, to be honest.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
never, I just never really felt like a need to like know, like I know, like when I do shamanic work and I work with specific goddesses or my intention is to work with certain energies, but I
Mm.
don't feel like, all right, so one's coming to mind right now, but like he's like very specific for certain things.
Who is it?
His name's Gordon Higginson. He's a British um, trance physical mediumship.
And he's
Well,
like past, so he guides you from the other
yeah,
side.
yeah. He just like and Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln always helps me. But like,
Amazing.
you know, Gordon Higginson, I always found interesting. His life story is very interesting. Maybe
Mm.
that's why like I connect to him. Like and he's very connect. His grandma was a medium, and she used to take him to like haunted places and like blindfold him and tell him to like feel into the place, and that's how she like taught him how to be a medium.
That's so cool.
And Abraham Lincoln always comes when I teach classes. He's like somebody who a lot of people don't know that he actually was very. I don't know if you're familiar with the actual religion of spiritualism.
I've been to like a couple of
There's
like of the
probably
local
some in
churches.
Australia,
Yeah, yeah. I know I was
but
invited by someone who's a medium.
yeah. So spiritualism and like people think I mean like spiritual, but there's an actual religion that was started in New York by the Fox sisters. They were like mediums and stuff like that.
Mm,
But a lot of people don't know Abraham Lincoln had two children who died, and his wife was very involved with the spiritualism movement, and they
mm,
actually used to have seances at the White House.
yeah.
And so I was part of waking up is my grandma, and then I met somebody who was a spiritualist minister who invited me to a spiritualist church, and that's how I first kind of learned mediumship. So I have that connection to spiritualism.
Mm. So your guides, like, they feel very like specific humans that have passed. Because my guides, that what I have determined of them, they're like Anubis is one of my guides, 100%. Like he's come to me and like I don't know. Sometimes when I have dreams, they feel like dreams, and other times they feel like fucking like meetings. 100% like Anubis
That's
and
that's
other
sorry to
ones.
cut you off, but
Go ahead.
it's so funny that Anubis is one of the first deities that ever came to me.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
We're psychopoms. Like we, we walk both worlds. You've got to have guides that are like underworld, you know?
yeah. And actually, it's funny. So, just to sidetrack with Anubis,
Mm,
so my grandma came to me, and then I had a friend who killed himself, and he was one of the first other people to come to me. And I was laying in my bed, and I was meditating, and he hung himself. And I'm laying there, and this is like when I'm first trying to learn how to like connect and stuff like that. So I'm laying there meditating, and I start to feel like my neck, like like a choking sensation around my neck. And then I see my friend Doug in my head, And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Doug, are you here? Right. And he's like, yeah, I'm here. But there's other things here too. And like, I sit up in my bed and I actually saw Anubis. Like, um, almost like it looked like, like when you see like hot vapors, like gas, it was
Yep.
like his form, but I could, and then it would like bleep through kind of where I would actually see like the physical form of him. And the first thing he told me was that basically, like, don't believe anything you see in the news. Don't believe all that stuff is just like a culmination of, it's like the great work for the collective, like, so I saw this like golden triangle and this energy was like coming down to me, and I got this whole like download that everything that's going on in the world, all the conflict and strife, it's all basically like to help us like alchemize ourselves, so like, but like, don't get, like, he was basically saying like, don't get pulled into it. It's not, that's, it's like for the collective to kind of work through their shit. That was like the first time, and that was like the first deity that I ever got visited by. um and it was a very like powerful shift, because kind of alongside the whole awakening thing, I was deep into like conspiracy,
Mm.
and all that stuff, which it tended to make me angry.
You still are a little bit.
Yeah, anger's my go-to.
Is it?
Yeah, you feel like alive from anger. Like, you ever just
Do
want to
you?
punch somebody in the face? Like,
No.
no,
That's
no.
the thing. Like, I mean, I've certainly been angry before. Um, More frustrated than angry generally, but like, I never really want to hurt anyone. Like, it's just not. I just don't understand when people want to hurt people. I mean, like, I do conceptually, I do, but I'm just like, why? It's so violent.
I don't feel like that anymore. But when I was younger, one of my favorite quote when I was like, I used to play football and do like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and all that stuff. My favorite quote was, anger is a gift, use it wisely. And it was like, I always used my anger as like a channel and like an underdog type story,
Hmm.
and use that to kind of empower me in a way.
Yeah, like getting somewhere out of spite almost.
Yeah, like, oh, you don't think I could do this? I'm gonna fucking do it, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah. But I think like that story gets old because you start to kind of set yourself up with like the odds against you.
Yeah, and people thinking that you like underestimating you and stuff. And you feel like you're always like fighting everyone to
It,
be seen.
well, because it's like, if simple manifestation 101, like, if you really want something and you focus on it and your intentions and you're putting the work in, like, you're going to do it.
Yeah,
So there's nothing really stopping you but yourself. So it's like, once you really start to have that power, it's like, then things already are happening. So then you have to kind of create like an issue to like feed that identity of like being the underdog.
100%.
And it might have took me like 10 years to figure that out, but I figured it out. So it didn't really feel good to play small anymore.
Mm. Can I ask you a question? From
No.
before. Yeah, say yes though.
Yes.
The house in the dream where you were like held by p- theoretically your mentor. Can you describe that house?
To be honest, like right now, her name was Vincenza. Right now, I just see the hallway. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember the house right now for some reason, but I remember the hallway with many doors. It was kind of like the Matrix, you know, when he goes into like that hallway with like doors,
Yeah.
and it was very like simple, plain. Now I'm seeing a house, so I see like more of a square, like boxy looking house
Mm-hmm.
with with like four windows. Very simple looking house.
Okay. So it's
Why?
not like a house you've been in. I don't. When you said it, I just thought of my childhood home. It just seemed, for whatever reason, I
Interesting.
don't know,
I don't know. Maybe.
because we had like a big like mansion, and it was just like a big long hallway with like tons of rooms coming
Yeah.
off either side, pretty much.
I mean, I don't. You know, I don't know.
Mm.
Why? What are you thinking?
I don't. This is something.
Just
Like
say what you're thinking.
I can get into a place where I'm like, uh, fuck. How do I describe this? One of my concerns, one of my like little nightmares that I still have, is that um everyone around me is like one of my guides, and they're all pretending to not to like be on my level or be on like a human level, and then one day they're going to be like, hey, like, surprise, we were all like, we've just been conscious the whole time, and like we've been trying to get you into this place or whatever the fuck. And then
Oh, that
this is
feels
really hard to
really
describe.
bad. That feels like
Yes.
really.
Yeah, it
I
feels
just felt
fucking
the energy of that.
terrifying.
I felt like nauseous.
Yes, exactly. That's like one of my, I guess, deep fears is that I'm like the last one to the party
Yeah.
or something. But then also, I don't know, with all the like cross connections, like Anubis and things like that, I'm just like, well, are we kind of like on Earth, say, there's like, I don't know, 300,000 oversouls, at least according to Bashar. And those oversouls all have individual souls, and those individual souls all have like a certain amount of human incarnations. And then I'm like, what if we're just like finding each other? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
uh, people who have the same kind of oversoul, because we all share energy and share certain vibrations. And it's
Yeah.
like, what if we're all kind of like collecting, and then we all, I don't know, come back together or something, and then we have all these shared experiences. Like, I did ask you the other day, but I don't think you replied. If you've seen the movie The Nines, with Ryan Reynolds, it's so obscure.
I don't think so. The
I
cartoon?
No, no, it's like a
I'm
movie.
thinking of the Nine. It's like a cartoon, a
No.
dystopian.
Oh,
Uh,
that, yeah, I know that one. No, no, it's called The Nines, and he's like, he's got all these different lives, and it's all the same actors, and they all play different roles for each other. So in one life, his like best friend is Melissa McCarthy, and then also in a different life, she's his wife, and also in a different life, she's his, I don't know, something else. And um and he's kind of simultaneously living all these lives, and then she reveals to him at some point, oh, like, you're actually a god, you're creating your own reality. And then they have to like end the simulation or whatever the fuck, and he like breaks a bracelet to like get out of it, like that whole like end simulation thing you sent the other day. And I don't know, this is why I get freaked out when I'm just like, no, I'm the only one in my reality, because then I'm like, everyone else is fake, and I'm just like, it gets into this like kind of schizophrenic weird place where everything becomes destabilized, and it's because you're not kind of grounding into the literal human level that you're on.
is
But
that why? Because I think it's more of just like, losing yourself.
I don't feel like I can lose myself.
No?
No, like, for everything that I've been through and every like death that I've had or huge transformation or whatever, I only ever find more of myself. Does that
Really?
make sense? Yeah, I only ever become more and more and more of myself, like my genuine, authentic vibration.
Yeah, I kind of view it as like we're inside, like I'm inside a box right now,
Mm.
like a hologram, or you want to call it Saturn's cube, right?
Oh, I
I'm
hate that.
inside a
No, that's the
box.
Matrix. Ugh.
So I'm in this box, right?
Yeah.
And there's death,
Mm.
which I think death, I've been trying to like think of a better way to explain death, because I don't think people actually understand what death is, because I think death is really just like um I think I would say death is the state where the majority of your awareness is in the etheric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because if you're dead, you're with the infinite, right? But if you're connecting to the infinite now, that means that part of you is already dead.
But we're all always connected to the infinite.
Exactly. So there's always an aspect of you that is in fact dead.
But it's not like dead is just such a human concept.
No, but exactly. But I'm trying to see, like, people, this is my obsession with death, but like
Mm-hmm.
people view death as like an end goal or an end state. Death is constant. It's
Mm.
like, it's just like moving into that space. So it's like another, like, if I'm teaching somebody to connect mediumistically, right?
Yeah.
I always say to people, because we have these preconditioned ideas like, oh, heaven is up, you know, hell is below, and
Mm.
like we are here. So really, I always say the spiritual realm is just like another layer of this reality.
Yeah.
It's actually here. So the way that spirit knows that you want to connect is our energetic field expands, and to me, when it expands, it's almost like a light switch is on, like, oh, I'm here, I'm open, I want to connect. And that's how spirit knows they want to connect to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that dimension or that awareness is the same awareness that you would have when you're in the death, when you're dying or you're dead and you leave your body. Your spirit leaves your body and expands into that infinite state, right? Do you
Theoretically.
agree? What?
I theoretically, yeah. I
Okay.
just I don't know. I feel constantly open. Like I don't feel like I could expand my energy any more than it's expanded currently.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
No. Like right now, I could feel my energetic field is like 3 to 4 inches off my physical body. When I open up and connect, it
Mm.
fills my room.
No, I'm like stretched all the way out there to the next house and then some, maybe. I think.
Yeah, but you don't want to be like that all the time.
But that's just how I am all the time.
Well, maybe that's some sort of boundary issue you have.
But if I like pull it in, then I feel all like like it's not enough space for me. I'm like suffocated.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like I went through this whole phase of like breaking down like generator energy, because I feel like a lot of times I am very strong with my thoughts. Like the generator energy is always kind of like in front. So I could feel like sometimes I can like think about you or whatever or whoever, anything, and it like pushes my energy into them.
Okay.
So it's like that's kind of like non consensual in a way. Like it's like you're kind of pushing your energy into. I don't know. It feels
What's consensual in energetic? No, I get it. I think I get it, kind of. But you're not actually pushing yourself into my energy. You're pushing yourself into your projection of my energy.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, but I think it could still like influence.
Well, let me put it like this, right? If you're take a porn star, and they've got
Okay, where am I
I'm
taking
just putting
her?
it in your language, okay?
Yeah.
um, take a porn star. They've got their pictures in a magazine because I'm from the 90s. And everyone's having a wank to them. They don't necessarily feel that all the time, you know what I mean? Even though those people are like imagining them in their minds and doing like what is effectively energetic ritual.
I think they do. I think there's a part of them that feels that. I do. I think there's an effect there.
What effect?
It's like you're giving your energy. Those people are actually like giving their authority over to that person. Personally, that's what I think.
Their authority.
Yeah, I think it's like a form of worship. I do, and that's probably why porn stars are so rich. I'm serious.
I don't think all porn stars are so rich.
Well, maybe there's something to that, but I think a lot of them are, and like I think there's a lot of people who are successful doing stuff like that because they're being like worshipped and given life force.
But I like for all of the porn out there, most of it's free. And most of those people probably don't have that much money at the end of the day.
Well, there's also a million factors, but I think there's a lot of them that are super rich.
Some of them.
Agree to disagree.
I don't just I think that we create um thought forms, I guess, in a way. Like I don't feel like people who in my past like I don't know, don't like me or have jealousy or resentment or whatever the fuck against me. I don't feel like they could affect me if they tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so like your beliefs can protect you.
But yeah, but then it's all belief.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think it's a lot of factors. It's not like, oh, I jerk off and like boom, like you get this like power or something.
$1,000.
Yeah. No, but I think there's like a lot of factors to it, you know? It's like I have a certain level of protection from things I do or like what I practice and like
Mm,
there's a lot to it. There's also like your energy as a person. Like if you're more healed and stuff like that, I think you're less likely to attract negative energy or negative issues. I think like you'll transmute it naturally.
true.
Like my encounters with negative entities and stuff like that, I feel like drastically dropped the more I worked on myself.
Mm. Well, and that's the other thing, right? Is like all of these entities and energies and things are you at the end of the day.
Yes, of
Like
course.
working on yourself just integrates those energies as part of you. So therefore they can't
Yeah.
affect you because they're already working for you.
Yeah. Or yeah. I mean, basically 100%. You also like people in the spiritual social media, whatever, always hyper fixate on like negative energy entities and stuff like that. But it's like if you're doing the work, they don't really to me, they don't show up. It's really some aspect of yourself that's showing up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, literally. Mm.
What?
So much of my practice, I guess, in the last couple of years has just been pure integration. And I feel like it's like afforded me a level of, I don't even want to say protection because it's not really protection. It's like it's just untouchability in a weird way, because
Yeah.
I've just integrated so much of myself that not a lot can affect me anymore. And if I
Yeah.
do, but I did have that experience that I told you about like a couple of months ago where I felt almost suicidal. You know what I mean? Like I was just like and I had never been like that in my entire life, even through all the, you know, shit show that has been my uh life.
Yeah.
um but it was just these last couple months that I was like, I just felt like I was like, I just can't fucking do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like I can't go back to being not authentically me. Like I've just spent the last 4 years deconditioning myself and breaking out of every mold that I was ever put in. And it was almost like demanded of me to, I don't know, get like a job again and that kind of thing. And I was like, I just can't do it. And I was fucking suffocated under heaviness for like weeks. And then one day I was just like, okay, I can't. I'm done fucking with demons or something like that. Like just thought it in my head and it was like it peeled off of me. It's like something
Yeah.
physically removed itself from me. And it was, I don't know, like there was nothing more that I could have alchemized in that moment. At least I don't think. There was nothing more that I could have integrated because it wasn't like a sadness. It was just like a numbness in a way, like complete disinterest in continuing the story,
Yeah.
I guess, like putting a book down halfway through. There was
Yeah.
no tears to be had, I guess, and that's my main method of transmutation.
Yeah, it's funny you say the numbness thing because I specifically remember being in like high school and being very angry. And I don't think I knew what I was doing at the time, but I remember being in my room and I like burnt like a penny. So I made this like oath to myself because I felt like my family was like fucked up. And I was like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get out of here, you know? And I like burnt a penny on my arm.
Mm.
And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to be numb anymore. I want to feel everything. And I remember specifically that's when like my empathic stuff started happening where I would feel things. And it kind of, I remember doing that. And then I listened to This Is the End by The Doors and like meditated. And I remember like having this awareness of like looking at my hands and thinking like, why am I like, what am I doing here? You know, like where am I? Like kind of like why do I have hands? You know, like having this like weird like meditation, and I'll never forget like looking at my hands and being like why do I have hands? Being like 16, like just sitting in my room, like having this like existential like crisis of like I'm the universe, but I have hands now. You know? Yeah. I think that's when I really started to wake up was the hands maybe. Like
Really?
my initial wake up.
But you had
But
like,
I would say September 11th too was like really like I think like September 11th was a trigger for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah, I've heard that. I do remember that day, even in Australia. I remember when it happened. Such a wild, like, event, just fucking shook the world.
Yeah, but I think it. I mean, I think it had. See, that's where like we talk about like the artist creating. It's like, do those type of events happen, but also have these like synchronistic um, coincidences because they're like a fateful event, or is it like, are they created? You know,
Both.
both. You think?
Well, we create everything,
Yeah,
and it's all synchronicity, and it's all symbolic.
like September 11th, two towers that look like an 11. Like, I mean, it's like there's just like even like stuff like that. It's like so weird, but yet perfect in a way.
Plus, it was like a huge tower moment for the collective,
Yeah,
especially Americans, Like, I feel like September the 11th, people are going to take this poorly probably, but September the 11th really feels like almost a karmic manifestation of all the meddling that the American government had done in so many other countries' governments. You know what I mean? Like toppling what was a stable government that the people had elected and then putting in horrific leaders because they would sell them oil for cheaper or whatever the fuck.
yeah,
And it just felt like this karmic like boomerang, which obviously at the time like no one had conceived of because 99% of the population were not aware of all that stuff going on, but it had been happening for like decades.
yeah, yeah. That doesn't feel fun to talk about.
Aw, we can cut it out.
No, I don't. I'm
That
just
doesn't
saying.
feel fun to talk about. Amazing. Does it always have to be fun? Because I think between you and I, we're going to delve into some dark shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I don't. I think it's fun to talk about uh dark shit.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that's too dark. My
For me
personal opinion.
personally, no. But I also don't want to get like burned again.
Yeah. So you're afraid you're gonna get burned at the stake again?
I'm not sure if I'm like I'm not consciously afraid of that. I think that I'm aware of the fact that most people will hear how I see things energetically and kind of take it the wrong way or jump to conclusions, or they'll be sitting on one side of a pole and they'll be like, that's immoral. And I'm like, well, guess what? The universe doesn't give a fuck about morality. Like, um, but I guess it could be dangerous in a way because people are fucking crazy out there. They'll send you death threats and anthrax and all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah,
who
but
knows?
what part of you would attract that experience?
The part of me that is afraid of dying again, I guess. Like, so much of my life has spent trying not to be hated for, I want to say my darkness, right? But my darkness isn't like the bad parts of me. It's like my ability to actually empathize with and hold space for all the darkness of the world and understand it and have integrated it. You know what I mean?
But
Like
what's the reason for that?
in my childhood,
No, just like why do you want to do that? Like what's your intention in doing that?
why do I want to do like hold all the space for the darkness? It's just a self-integration thing, I think. Like if there's anything in the world that my energy kicks back against, I'm immediately like, "Oh, okay, what is this in me?" Like, and then I integrate it and then I can see it with empathy, you know?
But like who cares?
What do you
Like
mean who cares?
why? Well, like I'm saying like why? Like I don't know. Like why do you want to do that?
Because otherwise I get stuck in it. Yeah. Like, um, it's really easy to look at some things going on around the world and have like a very visceral emotional reaction to it and ruminate on it, and it feels burdensome to energy, and it feels blinding in a way. Like, it feels like it really clouds your clarity and your vision, or my clarity and vision. And if I don't, then it feels like I'm stuck to it. Like there's an energetic tie to it. And I think that kind of conceive ascension as a little bit like that. Like, theoretically, right? The human race, or at least a portion of it, are aiming for ascension. Like, we want to not go further into the kind of buying into the illusion of the physical. We're trying to step back out of it. And that involves like cutting ties to like personal attachments, but also collective attachments. You work your way up, I think, from personal attachments to energetic ones, or like collective ones. But at some point you have to like disconnect from them. Because, like, let me put it like this, like, our guides, when something bad happens to us, our guides don't come in and just like scoop us out of it and they go, oh no, that's like, we don't want you to have to suffer through that. Like, they're like, okay, we'll honor your experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I, I think I don't know. I feel like it's hard to like speak about these things without like having the idea of like hierarchy or like I don't feel like a lot of this has a point. I don't the the more I have bigger experiences, I don't think in the classical sense anything matters.
I think the point is what you give it. And for me, anyway, the point is self understanding. Like, for every huge fucking horrific thing that I integrate and then see both sides of and get detachment for, even if I prefer a world in which no war ever happened, right? Um, I'm in a world where war happens, so I have to understand it. Like, I have to open my heart to it and just understand that it's an
Yeah,
experience.
see like
Like,
I don't really agree with that anymore. I feel like I used to agree with that, but I think like it's really just like your story.
which part of it don't you agree with?
The fact that it like really matters in a sense. Like I think like you want to live the story where you understand it, but it doesn't matter.
What do you
There's a
mean it doesn't
difference.
matter?
Well, like I'm saying like okay, like I had that recent mushroom trip that I've talked to you about
Hmm.
and the gist of like how I saw the existence and I'm still like trying to like break some of it down is like I was trying to explain to you before about death, how like there's an aspect of us that is with the infinite, right? So if there's infinite multiverses or infinite timelines, whatever word you want to use, right? There's a
Hmm.
timeline where you died already.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I know, I'm already on board with quantum immortality. I believe in that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I 100% believe in that.
Hmm.
So there's a timeline where you died, right? So then if there's a timeline where you died, that aspect of yourself is in the afterlife. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, that aspect of myself is just my, like, individual soul, and then so on and so forth.
What do you mean?
Like, it's not that there's an exact version of me that died, I don't know, 20 minutes ago in a car crash or whatever, 2 hours ago in a car crash. uh, it's that I exist as a higher aspect that doesn't care about, I don't know, any experience that I'm having. Like, it's all just Mm, how to describe this? There isn't a million ghost versions of V in the ether. It's just one being.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like okay, so like there's a really cheesy movie that I loved. I think it was in the 90s. It's a Jet Li movie, okay?
Yeah.
It's called The One.
Yeah, I've
All
seen it.
right? You've seen it? Okay. Basically, there's Jet Li is like a cop, but in one universe he's like this evil person who goes into each universe and kills the version of himself because he gets stronger. Like the other selves become stronger
Uh-huh.
by killing off the other selves. So
Yep.
like so the good guy he's like a cop in the one universe. He starts noticing that he's like getting stronger and he's like becoming a better fighter and he starts doing like superhuman things. And then like this evil version from the other universe who knows what he's doing, he's killing off the different versions and he's becoming stronger. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like there's like this police force that's like chasing him through universes basically. And the good one eventually kills the bad one. Okay?
Naturally.
So um my point of that is like if there's an infinite amount of views, right? There's those aspects that may have died already that have reemerged to the infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, they were never apart from it. But yeah, I guess.
Well, like what? Well, how about this? What happens when you die, or what do you feel happens when you die?
I I mean, I feel like I kind of just get a choice of like whatever the fuck I want to do next, whether that's something physical or non-physical. But I've had moments and experiences in which I'm like lucidly walking around and interacting with beings in the non-physical, and I'm like, that, like, on that level of me that happens, and on another level of me this thing happens, and on another level this thing like, it depends what density we're talking about, but like, I just go back to being my whole individual soul who's had many different human experiences and has
Okay.
different, like, okay, so I think, we talk about shamanism, and particular shamans can go into a trance. I haven't been able to control it yet, but I can do that. Like, I can step into the non-physical and have the person in front of me who I might have sitting in front of me or not, uh and kind of be able to interact with their non-physical self. So I can like pull them apart, like split them down the middle, and like look into their bodies and see something symbolic that means something to my human self, that has me understand what it is that's going on inside of their energy that's like creating the issue in the physical. And then I can
Okay.
just step back here and be like, this thing's happening, or like, you have this belief or that thing that happened in your childhood, da, da, da. Like, um and that version of me is like, they're very close to each other now. They weren't these other like past versions of me. The more conscious that I've gotten and the more that I've stripped away my inauthenticity, which is just my belief that I'm not as powerful as I am realistically,
Yeah.
um, I get energetically closer and closer to that being a conscious state in which I can just flick between the two. That's what it feels like to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I were
All
to
right.
die right now, I'd be like, oh, I feel like I didn't get to finish that story, which I think is what happened in my other life in which I was killed. and I can explain that astrologically in a whole bunch of different ways. But I would just go about my fucking business helping people doing stuff up there.
Okay. So like back to what I was saying is that like I think there's like part of us that's with the infinite. And
Yep.
then there's another part that is choosing to be here in this moment. Like me and you right now. Like there's something that that infinite aspect of myself is deciding like this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Right. And then when people talk about like timeline jumping and stuff like that, I think
You
it's like you're
people.
navigating. Yeah. You're navigating into different timelines by like what you want to focus on or what you want to experience.
Yes, and the more control you have over that, the more, like, I feel like people who have more control over that have more connection with their higher selves,
Yeah.
which is just that version of you.
Yeah, well, and that could be like the holy guardian angel if you want to get into that, but
Yeah.
um my point is like you if you always have like maybe you're not fully aware of it, but I believe that we always deep down we like fully consent to every aspect we're experiencing right now.
No, I 100% agree. Yeah.
So my point that I was getting to was that I lost it, but we kind of move in and out of timelines. So it's like really we're just here to choose like the experience. Like there's not purpose.
There is
Purpose
purpose, though.
see, I don't believe it.
What do you mean there's not purpose?
It's just about the experience.
Is that not the purpose?
No, it's about like experiencing it. Like it's just feeling. It's just like it's like being on a roller coaster ride. Like, do I want to do a loop de loop? Do I want to go backwards? Do I want to go to the right? Do I want to go to the left? It's just like creating the roller coaster ride. It's not, there's no like, oh, if I go through this roller coaster ride, then I get this. It's just a ride.
Okay, I can conceive of that. It seems like I don't think that I would choose to be here if there was no purpose in me being here.
Can you say that to yourself again? Think
Yeah,
about it.
I
Like, really
don't
think
think
about
I
it.
would choose to be here if there were no purpose to being here. Like, don't you believe in Earth School? Don't you believe in like lessons and things
Nah,
like that?
I think that's just creating a funner ride. Like, oh, I'm here to save humanity. Like, look at me. I'm the light workers are here. Like, on
Oh,
the third wave. Like, no. I think it just is more fun.
but then doesn't it ruin the fun to conceive of it the way that you do?
I think it takes the pressure off. Like, I think it just like I don't think I want to live that story. Like, I don't think I need that story to enjoy it.
Like, I'm getting to the point where uh I don't feel like I need to save anyone. I'm not sure if I was ever really fully in that. I never felt any like pressure like that. Like it's never been about everyone else for me. Um, but when I go, okay, well, nothing has purpose, then there's nothing for me to do and I still have to fucking pay rent. Like,
Yeah.
for me, like helping people the way that I do feels fucking great. Eh, like I think that we all like helping people in our own individual ways, whether we directly interact with them or not.
Yeah, but like,
Um,
why?
Because it just feels good to
But why
like,
does it feel good?
uh, because it feels like I have my thing and whoever has their thing, and we just swap things and help each other. And it just feels good to like swap energy, I guess. And right now we're kind of in a system where that energy comes in the form of money instead of like an act or a thing or whatever the fuck. But I think that on different levels of consciousness, like we could pretty quickly get the earth to the point where it's all just happening synchronistically. You know what I mean? Like I just
Yeah,
happen to run into someone who needs my personal gifts, and they so happen to have something that I find incredibly useful or whatever in that moment. Like that is how the universe is meant to operate. It's just that when we've been trying to control everything with our minds, we fucked it all up. So now we have money and rent and stuff
yeah,
instead. But that also helps us buy into like all of that kind of pressure and all of the friction of not letting the universe work the way that it's meant to work, like synchronistically, also creates all this drama and like helps us buy into the illusion that we're not God or not in control or whatever the fuck. Because as soon as everything starts happening synchronistically, you're just like, oh, okay, I have nothing to worry about. And then you don't buy in, you don't worry. There's not really much polarity. It's just like just going along with the flow. And I think that there's different, like you can find it even if we don't like to admit it to ourselves, like we all find it fun to buy into dramatic storylines sometimes,
exactly. But that
even
makes
if they're
the
painful.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then they're not really needed. They're just part of the experience.
But like if my soul came here and what it enjoys is like shamanism and helping people transmute their shit, then that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? So of course I'm buying into this timeline where like
Yeah, but
everyone's
why you're here is it, that's the experience. The why is the experience, but you're putting all this other stuff on. It's instead of thinking as like you've said it yourself, right?
mm,
You said the universe doesn't care about morality, right?
yeah,
But really, if you like break down morality, right? It's really like good and bad is the same thing as right or left or black or white.
technically, yeah.
It's just 0 1.
Yeah.
So if you really understand that, then it's all the same.
I do feel like karmically anyway. So like energetically, uh morality really only comes down to like are you intervening with something else's free will? Like are you deliberately, whether through like lying or through controlling emotionally or physically or whatever, are you intervening with the choices of another being? Because that's just another aspect of you. So I just try.
I don't even agree with that, to be
What do you
honest.
mean?
It's just my opinion. Like,
Tell me though.
oh, well, I'm saying like to me, right? To me, karma is a trap of like the physical world, right? Karma is like the energetic weight of being physical.
Um, I disagree because it happens in the ether as well. It's just it's not that it's not a punishment thing. It's not
No,
like
it's not a punishment thing. It's more of like not having the awareness of God.
I just see it as like a mechanic. I literally see it as like a mechanic of the universe. Like if you push a pendulum, it's gonna swing back the same way.
See, I gotta figure out how to explain this. But it's like I think karma is just like you're God, you're trapped. This is like some sort of like trap is a bad word because that makes it tie into like Gnostic. It's not trapped. It's like, see, this is where I was like, this mushroom trip came in, is like, it felt like I had the awareness that we were like choosing to come down into the physical.
Yeah, we are.
Like it's a drop,
Yeah,
you
I've
know?
experienced it.
So if you're choosing to come down here, I think that's why it goes into the whole, like, you're having just an experience, because there is no good or bad. But I think when we're down here, we can get wrapped into these stories that originally were just about experience, but I think we get wrapped into it. So part of us, like, it's almost like our physical vessel convinces our soul that this is real or this matters. And
Well,
that's what karma is. It's the weight that holds us here.
it's not a weight though.
Well, I don't know how to explain it
It's
without
a focus.
uh
It's not something that's coming down and making you do things. It's your own attention that is buying into energetic ties.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a focus, because with the focus you can move out of it. I don't think
Well,
it
that's my whole point.
yeah,
Is
I
like
guess a focus would be the right word. I think
d-
it's a frequency like that you hold.
well, yeah, but it's like it's
Yeah,
contractual
that's
frequency.
why it feels like a weight to me.
Okay. But it's not
You
like
know?
I don't conceive of it like a weight. I feel like it's almost like hyper focusing, like when you zoom super far in on a camera.
Yeah. Well, I think like I was thinking. So the thing that I've been kind of like negotiating with in terms of like the mushroom trip is that while feeling that whole like, oh, the Saturn's cube, like we're in this like construct that allows us to experience the physical,
Yeah.
is I felt like in this construct where like instead of like duality or thinking in duality, I was thinking that in the construct there's like three states. There's like stillness, movement, and both.
Okay.
This is how I interpret it, but like I'm still trying to like I'm still working through it. So like during the mushroom trip, my house became like almost like a physical representation of the construct, right? And when I was in my house, it was like I was dead and I was stopped, or like nothing was moving.
Mm.
And then I would get uncomfortable with that stillness. And then I would go outside and be in my yard and like walk around. And that was like active. And then I would, my son was sitting on the front porch. And I walked out to the front porch and he just looked at me and he was like, just come sit with me, be with me. Like that's what he said. And he's just like sitting on, I have this like it's almost like a big outdoor beanbag on my porch, and he's just like sitting there still. And I sat down with him and I was like, I interpreted that as like being active but like feeling the stillness, like the present. It felt like almost like the present eternal now, in a sense, where things feel like they're kind of moving but you're in the present moment, you know?
Yeah. Is that more like when your mind is moving and you're conceiving things in your head, but your body's still?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I don't know, there's something there that I haven't kind of like decoded, but I feel like it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to still work through it. I don't know what's there, but it's like it keeps coming back into my head of like how to understand how things work.
Well, you can conceive that your like your soul isn't in your body, right? Like your body's in your soul. Like everything around you right now is you. Like when I was up there and I was walking around and interacting, when I was ready to go back into the physical, we walked outside into this kind of balcony area, and it was like this big steep drop into an ocean, and you could see like coral. It was just stunning. And it was so like lighthearted and free and casual, and I just dropped in and swam around, and then I woke up here. You know what I mean? Like it was like going underwater in a weird way. Um, like I just don't feel like there's anything that like traps us other than our own negative beliefs
Yeah.
in a thing, and that's why to reel it back to the whole original point, that's why anything that like occupies my attention in the physical reality and that I buy into like emotionally or on any kind of level, it's about, for me anyway, integrating it by empathizing with it, because that's what integration is. It's understanding. It's like it's detached attachment in a weird way, or detached, yeah, empathy. I don't know. And then I no longer feel like I'm buying into whatever it is that's happening, and I can just step away from it. Much the same as our guides don't get, I don't know, pulled into the physical with us. You know what I mean? Like they are not buying into our storylines. They're just like, okay, that's like, yeah, a mechanism, a collective karma that's going on, whatever. And they'll just try and help us to understand it. And I think we start by understanding our personal stories. You know, if there's someone in our life that we're pegging as like a victim and we're the villain, or vice versa, or whatever the fuck. And so we understand those mechanics. We understand the personal, like one-to-one effects. And then as you accumulate more and more understanding of yourself in that capacity, then you can start applying it to like other bigger things, and it allows you to find detachment. So you can find detachment in two different ways. You could just be like, well, I don't give a fuck. And just like close your heart off to it, which to me doesn't feel like a healthy form of
Yeah.
detachment rather. Or you can find detachment through like empathizing with it and being like, okay, I can see like this side of the coin, I can see that side of the coin, I can see why these two groups are like warring or whatever the fuck. And I don't know, I understand it, I feel for both sides, and also like I know that my path isn't to like necessarily go and affect direct change in any capacity. So I'm just going to keep doing what it is that excites me in this life, knowing that as I lighten my timeline, I find myself on versions of Earth that are lighter and lighter. Like there's an infinite amount of Earths. Some of them have already destroyed themselves. Some of them like are in like let's say total nuclear apocalypse, World War III. Some of them are at where we're at. Some of them are even better off right now. And wherever your vibration is at is the one that you, like, piece by piece find yourself on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think I don't. The thing is like I feel like I don't really know. I just like kind of have the experience of what I'm experiencing, and then like try to kind of figure out what's going on. But I feel like, do you ever really know?
Um, I feel like I know things in my body, but then every experience and every creation is personal, I guess. Like if you do get into the state where you're just like, well, I'm the only one here and I'm the only one creating my reality, then It's just the stories that you come up with and create to go in whichever direction you want, whether that's ascending or descending or in a non-hierarchical way.
Yeah.
Ascending being like detaching and being aware of more and more of yourself, and descending being attaching and being aware of less and less of yourself, realistically.
Yeah. Well, I remember being in the mushroom trip being like, all right, I want to go back down a little bit. Like,
Really?
yeah, I was too, I saw things so clearly. Like, I saw the big picture and I was like, all right, I'm ready to go back down.
What did something spook you? Like what would encourage that?
Because it feels very like going back to feeling like neutral. It feels very like alone
Yes.
at that state.
Yeah.
It feels very like, it can feel very cold. Um, and it just, that's why it feels like it's all about experience. So it's like when you're at those higher levels, it's like you kind of realize that it's all just a game. That it's not, you know?
I mean, it is. This is why I don't like to buy into this idea that I'm just like personally creating all of my reality from here, because I like to think that there are other levels of beings and consciousnesses that I can interact with. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. So you're basically saying your beliefs are because you're scared of thinking a different way.
I don't think of it like that. I think of it like it's more like exciting to think that there are other groups out there or individuals or whatever that have different ways of thinking, different ways of understanding the world, that are more enlightened, more expansive, more. I don't know, like the way that humans have been understanding the world for so long is so dualistic and small-minded.
Okay, but like look at somebody like you like Bashar, right?
Mhm.
So like say Bashar is just tapping into his like higher self, or I don't know enough about him to be honest, but
Sure.
um say he's tapping into something that's really just his infinite self, right?
Right.
But he's creating this like side story maybe for his own consciousness, or because we believe, like humanity is starting to believe that, oh, there's aliens and they're going to be more advanced than us, so they've become like this symbol for authority. So like we create these whole things just to like feed our belief system.
So he has said, as in like Bashar has said, not Daryl Anker, that A, we are imagining and creating each other in each other's respective realities,
Yeah.
and B, that like they don't want to be our authority. They have absolutely no desire to like save us or whatever the fuck. They just want to like include us in the kind of
Yeah.
grander conversation, which is exactly how I feel. I'm just like, yeah, I'd totally love to speak to different beings on different
See, I don't think they
places.
exist
Why?
because I think it's us. I think it's all us.
Everything's us, but do you think that like it's only humans and the animals that we have on this earth? Like the universe is literally infinite. There's an infinite amount of other beings
Well,
that
I
aren't
mean,
humans.
yeah, I mean, I think, but it's all like other versions of ourselves.
Well, yeah, they know that.
Yeah, but I feel like there's like this weird um culture with like aliens or like the stars and stuff like that where it's like it doesn't, I feel like most people don't view it as like alternate, like like I think a lot of the experiences that I've had with like extraterrestrials or whatever are just like my a version of me in that universe.
Mm-hmm. They'll agree with you. That's how Bashar talks about him and Darryl Anka.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm like Darryl Anka says Bashar is like some kind of future version of me.
yeah.
That makes sense to me. I don't see
But I
why.
don't
I'd
feel
fucking
like
love to
people.
meet
I
the
think
future version of me.
people view aliens though as like some sort of separate thing, and I don't think it is. I think it's just like a different version of us.
Yeah, but they still exist.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
How can you, why would you want a universe in which only humans exist on this one planet?
I don't know. Like I don't think there's. Yeah, I don't know.
I can understand not liking savior culture, but we apply that to fucking everything. We apply that to governments and to religious figures and da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like that's just part of the human condition is like wanting something outside of us to save ourselves.
Yeah,
And it's such a like a needy fucking parasitic entity too. But we still like that is part of the interaction of like helping or not helping or whatever the fuck. And um I I don't know how else to say. Like it's such a small even when I was an atheist, like this is probably what started like slightly breaking my mind open is because I got to the point I think I went to see Neil deGrasse Tyson talk or something like he's
Oh,
so arrogant. He's so
uh,
arrogant. Yeah.
you went to see Neil deGrasse Tyson?
My mum got us tickets and I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh my god, did you throw anything at him?
No, but I did like I remember sitting there and just being like, he's so arrogant. Like he's just is this just how Americans are? Like what the fuck?
Oh my god. He might be one of my least favorite people. Like,
I would challenge you to confront your triggers about that.
because he's just like, I don't know. He's just like, it's just like, I don't know. He's just such a,
No, tell me.
seems like such a douche.
And you hate that?
No, he's just like, I don't know. He's just like the poster child for people I know who are like scientific materialists. And it's like, it's the same people who are like, you have to get vaccinated, like those types of people. It's like the
I was one of
same.
those types of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
Yep. Before I woke up.
Oh,
100%.
I'm
Yeah, I was just
sorry.
like, it's fucking immoral to like I don't know, go out to a store and just be like carrying fucking diseases that you could easily pass off to the next person and then they just die. Like horrifying. I also understand the my body, my choice thing, like pretty intrinsically. Even before I woke up, like someone put the argument of like, well, it's kind of like, abortion. I was like, yeah, it was kind of like abortion. You wouldn't like force someone to have or not have or whatever the fuck. Um, we're talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I still want to figure out because, like, whenever you have like a reaction to someone or something, it's part of you. I feel like it's just his um confidence that he knows exactly what's up, even though he's clearly quite small minded. And I think that when we're bothered by that, it is kind of indicative of the fact that we've like really locked ourselves into a paradigm that's like a bit
Yeah.
smaller than what's really going on. Interesting that it comes up in the conversation about aliens.
Yeah. Well, I just think like he acts like he knows
So do
when
we.
I don't really act like I know. I don't know.
Oh
I
yeah?
never claim to know. I don't like it instantly turns me off when somebody's having like some sort of philosophical discussion and they claim like they have the answers.
I will be sure to point it out to you next time that you do it
All right. I
then.
will. That's
um
fine.
so
I don't know.
I went to see Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I think the topic of aliens came up, and I don't remember what he said, but I remember having the conversation with my ex or my partner at the time, And I was like, "Do you believe that aliens can be real?" And he was like, "Absolutely no way." He was also like super scientific materialist. And I was like, "Well, even as like a full-on atheist, someone who believes in science, I'm like, the universe is so big. How the fuck and why the fuck would we confidently say that there's nothing else in the universe that is sentient? How fucking close, like, you think of all of the planets in the whole universe, and this is just in one slice of the universe now that I understand, I don't know, timelines and dimensions and things, that out of every single one of these fucking planets that there is not a single other speck of mildly intelligent life. Can you think of anything more closed-minded than that? Like, it's just refusing every other like facet of infinity.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't. Yeah, I guess them existing is different than us knowing them physically.
Why?
Well, I'm saying like theoretically, like if you're say something is maybe like even if we're relatively like we are relatively close to probably transcending physicality. Do you agree? Like
Some of us are.
yeah, like I'm saying well even like I'm saying yeah. No, I meant actually more I actually meant more like scientifically like you know being like almost like transhumanism and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I feel like it could go one of two ways though. Like it could happen in a more natural, like in like mediumship, like interacting with the ether and making connections with beings outside of oneself on the other side of the galaxy, whatever the fuck, versus downloading your freaking consciousness into like Facebook's supercomputer. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it could literally happen in any capacity and is happening in every capacity because every timeline exists. And it's like, which one are you going to be on?
Yeah, and I think even when things are happening like physically or materially, they're also happening the other way. You know, like if I feel like if we're say becoming transhuman in the sense of transferring our consciousness to a computer, I think we're also evolving the energetic way. Like they
Um,
simultaneously like move in the same direction. But it doesn't anyway, my point was is that like there's probably a certain window where civilizations transcend that.
we're in it. We're in the window. There's a billion trains leaving different stations. Pick your train.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's probably like 1,000 year window, so there might be civilizations that have already done it and have no desire to kind of show themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Or we can't even comprehend where they're at.
Well, the desire to connect goes both ways, right? Like, if you have a detached desire to stay hidden from other, I don't know, beings, civilizations, whatever the fuck, then you'll stay hidden. If you have a fear desire to stay hidden, then naturally you'll attract something that's horrific. And if you have like a desire to connect, you'll connect with something, and in my opinion, that's exactly what the Earth is doing. Like art, like singers and songwriters have been writing songs to aliens for decades. Um, we've had interactions going back. I mean, I think for thousands of years. I think there's multiple um like multitudes of indigenous civilizations that have had contact with extraterrestrials this entire time that we've just kind of been ignoring. And um we're calling it in now. You know what I mean? Like we're calling it in so hard. And some people are calling it in this like, please come save us, like take us, take me back to the Pleiades where I'm from, like save me from
Yeah.
the bad government people, blah blah blah. But there's a whole heap of us out here that are just like, yeah, it'd be like cool to have alien friends.
Yeah. I don't really have any friends, so I'm all right.
That's a lie.
I don't have that many close
What
friends
are you
anymore.
worried about? You seem like scared a little bit.
Of
What's
what?
What's gonna happen if aliens are real?
Oh, I don't care. I've had experiences.
Yeah.
I've
So what's wrong with them like
nothing.
landing?
It's not. I think like the issue really is more about like the like people. It's just like another form for people to give their authority away.
And we're gonna invent a million more of those before. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think there's a version of Earth that everyone simultaneously wakes up and is like on board with everything that's going on. I think that moving forward, and I had this realization earlier this year, and I've since heard Jessa say it too, and I consider her a bit of an oracle. Moving forward, this reality is splitting into two in the sense that some people are going to be living their own personal fucking nightmares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And other people are going to be like, hey, I know how to surf reality. Like, I understand what's going on. I've been aware of the fact that there's aliens for so long. I've been all this stuff. Like, but there's people out there who like have been completely unconscious to the fact that we're going through this massive awakening, this massive energetic change. And they're going to be like, oh, there's aliens invading, and they're getting like involved with people, and like people are being mind controlled by the aliens or whatever, because they won't be able to conceive of the fact that like we're all just operating in consciousness. So you've seen Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen those episodes with Unity where they like throw up in each other's mouths and she's like a collective consciousness. I think it's going to be viewed as more of that by the people who haven't been awake. I think it's going to be seen as like, I don't know, that there's like alien collaborators or whatever the fuck that are helping the aliens take over, or some like, do you know what I mean? Like it's going to be looked at as like an outside invasion that is less about guns and lasers and more about um conscious connections from our perspective, but maybe like mind control from like a fully fear-based perspective, and that we're going to see a big dichotomy in like how people perceive what is going on in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just like, I don't necessarily care. Like about
Okay,
like no, like I don't know. Like I think it's like I'm much more like into like my internal world.
be that too. That's how we navigate this thing.
Yeah,
It's
like
both.
if aliens showed up, I don't physically like I don't think like of course, yeah, it's gonna be a shock, just because of the initial, but like I don't think I really care. Like one of
That's
the
kind of
videos,
how it should be.
yeah,
That's exactly how we'd manifest it. It'd be like, hey, like, yeah, we've been in common. Like, it would be like you and me talking on Instagram, then having this like, I don't know, face-to-face podcast interaction, then meeting in real life. Like, it'd just be like, yeah, this feels natural. Like,
yeah.
it's a progressive
Well, yeah,
contact.
and I think like part of the reason some of the stuff with the aliens bother me is because it's like people make it like so much more than it is.
Yeah, but
Like
that's go internal. That's when you go internal.
yeah.
What
No,
is
I know.
bothering you about it?
Oh no, nothing. It's like you know what bothers me is like TikTok. I feel like feeds me videos it thinks I want, and I don't want them, and I
Mm-hmm.
block them. My new thing is like anything that's in my algorithm that I don't want, I just block them. But it seems like it comes up more, and
Because your
it's like,
universe is bringing you something to integrate, Pete.
no, it's not
Yes.
integrated. I don't care. I just don't want to hear some weird guy. It's like watch. It's like Alex Jones. Like I don't want to watch Alex Jones. Like I understand what he's about. I understand why people are drawn to him. And there was a time in my life where I listened to like a lot of his stuff, and I get it.
Hmm.
Like, but it's like also like I don't care to see that all the time. It's not like something I want to see. You
Then
know.
just flick past it. Like there's stuff all over my socials that I'm just like meh, and I don't even
It's
register
just
it as
always these
happening. It's
people like
bothering you.
disclosures coming tomorrow. Like I received information from the whistleblower who worked at Area 51, and it's like, you've been saying that for 20 years. Like, nobody
Uh-huh.
cares. Just shut up. Like,
Let me tell you what I find. Like recently what's been bothering me is like I saw a post the other day and it was like biologists say the sun might be conscious. And I was
yeah,
like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't need scientists to tell me that the sun is conscious because I already
yeah,
know this.
yeah,
Um, it to me it feels like no, I want to be the person that discovers it. Like,
yeah,
I want to be the person that tells you that the sun is conscious. Fuck the biologists.
yeah,
That's what it feels like to me. So it like even that is something internal to me that's like, no, I want to be part of the conversation. Like,
yeah, yeah,
how dare you be the one to like put out a news story that aliens are real? I will introduce aliens to the world. Thank you very much. So tell me
yeah,
what
man.
bothers you about it.
I just think like I think the authority, like the fact that there's people making comments like I knew it was coming, like
Mm-hmm.
like it's like I don't know.
Go
Doesn't
internal.
It's not like I actually feel a reaction to it. It's just like
Yes, you do.
kind of like annoying.
No, that's a reaction. Finding something annoying is a
Yeah,
reaction.
yeah. I guess you're right.
I am right.
Yeah,
Say it. Stop avoiding it. Just be
you're
real.
right.
I just yeah. No.
No.
Say what bothers you. Let's do the shadow work. This is the most interesting part of being alive. Is digging into the internal stuff.
Yeah. I think those things bother me because I feel like it's like the same thing as like religion. It's the same thing as like people who are all of a sudden becoming Jesus freaks, like,
Why? Why does it bother you though?
oh,
You're
because I
still
feel
telling me
like,
why it bothers
oh,
you.
I guess I don't want to give my power away. I think it bothers me because I used to believe, like, be more, I was raised Catholic, and it's like so many people around me are Catholic, and it's like my mom, like, still goes to church, and it's just like I had an aunt who died of cancer, and I remember her like going to church all of a sudden because she's dying, and then like the priest telling her that she needs to like make up for her sins or she's gonna burn in hell. Like, like
What
a month
makes you
before.
think that you will have to give your power away if other people give theirs away?
Um, I don't know. Like, I don't. I feel like because it's like right now, right? Like the majority of humanity has the power to do whatever we want. Like all the bullshit, like all the problems of the world right now could stop if we decided it.
Mm-hmm.
If like the majority of people decided it, like
What
we
if we
could.
are deciding it?
Yeah, but let's fucking go already. Like, I don't want to work anymore. Like, I don't want to pay my mortgage anymore. Like, it's getting old. Like, let's just fucking do it.
Okay, so you know how in all of our bad trips and all of our transmutations, whatever the fuck, you have to go through the heavy shit to get to the other side? You have to go through the darkness, feeling into your trauma, feeling the pain that you've felt, facing the fear of the reality of the thing. Like, you could call that a dark night of the soul if you want, maybe. Certainly not something enjoyable. The collective is literally doing exactly that right now. And the collective, it always like, it takes a bit longer for the collective to do it because it's such a big energy to move. And so everything's going through some of the darkest darks that has happened. And then there might even be more to come. But what I can say is that conscious creators have far more weight in terms of what is created in the collective than unconscious creators do. So that's why that there is, I don't know, a specific amount of people who are like awake and conscious, and I believe came here to like raise the collective consciousness. You don't need the whole of the human race to like awaken to create a better timeline for the whole collective. You only need a certain amount of conscious creators, like, and the higher your individual vibration is, the more kind of like punch that you have in terms of like reality creation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I just I guess I just have like a lot of anger towards like any sort of system of belief where people are just like yearning for it to like be true. You know, like
Why?
I don't know, because there's like so many people who it's like they're not it's like somebody who has like an argument with me about like Jesus, who are just like Jesus is the way, like, and you're like, well, why? And then they're just like, Jesus is the way. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, well, like, why do you feel that way? Like, what have you had experiences with Jesus? And they're just like, Jesus is the way. And then I'm just like, okay, you don't really want to have a conversation. Um, fuck Jesus.
It's funny because you're kind of doing something similar in that I keep asking you what it is specifically that makes you mad about it, and then you give me an example of what makes you mad.
Yeah. What makes? Wait, what was the question again?
What makes you mad about it? Don't keep telling me all the different ways that the triggers happen. Tell
Oh,
me what, like, focus in on, like, what creates the anger.
I'm not really. I don't think I'm angry.
You said anger. Just
Yeah.
roll with it.
Okay. So if I'm angry about it, what makes me angry about it? Uh, I guess I don't want to be wrapped into that. Like, I don't want to be. I don't want to be tricked. Like, I don't want
Why would you
to.
be?
Because I think it's. I think sometimes it's easy to be tricked. I think it's a lot easier than you think. I think you don't. I feel like sometimes I don't want to be responsible for. It's like me. It's like a savior complex. You know, it's like I think I definitely like can get wrapped into like being like a leader or like wanting to save people, and that's like the thought that people even need saving. Nobody needs saving. Like I consciously like know why it bothers me. Like I feel like I get wrapped into like the savior complex of like wanting to save people. And then like you get people who are just like stuck in a certain story that don't even like really hear you. And I feel like that's what makes me angry is like you're not even like trying to save yourself,
Mm.
you know? And I guess there's probably points in my life where I did the same thing, like where I was like wrapped in my own story and didn't save myself.
I feel like did this happen when you were a kid? Like someone would be like upset and you would like try to comfort them or like help them in some way, and it was like they couldn't hear you or they weren't taking you
Yeah, it's my
seriously.
mom
Mm-hmm.
and like my relationship with her and then like her wanting I feel like putting pressure to like save her, but it's like she wouldn't save herself,
Bingo.
you know? So it's like the same trickle down effect to me of like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah. And it
But I feel,
affected you, right?
of
Because if she
course,
wasn't strong, then you had to deal with a whole bunch of other stuff.
yeah, like she's like being a parent now, like, I just think she just had a lot of trauma that she never dealt with.
Yeah. But that's the logical understanding. But how did it feel when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah, like it felt shitty. Well, actually, part of it, like I said, it feels empowering to like be somebody's savior.
Mm.
Like if somebody's relying on you, it goes back to like what we talked about before with like the underdog story, or it's like, oh, I have to do this to save her, you know? So it gives you like a purpose or meaning or like
Mm.
um you know, recognition, you know? But yeah, I mean, it felt good and bad because there's also like the responsibility of like having somebody else's shit.
Hmm. And parenting your parent.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, taking on responsibility for her shit.
And when you said it felt shitty, like what emotion is that referring to?
It felt shitty. What emotion do I feel?
Yeah, like when you said it felt shitty when you were a kid, like did it feel shitty because it made you angry? Did it feel shitty
Well,
because it
because
made
I
you
wanted to
like
be a fucking
insecure?
kid. I think like I didn't want to deal with my parents' shit.
Hmm.
Like I didn't want to have to worry about like my parents' lives. I want to be live my fucking life. You know?
So anger?
Yeah, I would say anger. Yeah, I don't know at the time though if I necessarily felt anger. Like felt it. Like I might feel angry, but like at the time, I think I was like more. I feel like I could be. I'm an Aquarius. I could be very like detached emotionally.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, um, I think that anger at the very least is the first layer of this because you're angry that you didn't get to have really the childhood that you theoretically deserved as like what a child should have. Um, so my method from here would be to let the anger in and then express it, like scream into a pillow or something.
Yeah. Well, I can't scream on here, so
Why not? We can always edit it out.
nah. I'll scream on my own time. I promise.
Okay.
Um. Yeah. Did you feel like you got to the bottom of that, sweetheart?
No, I feel like you haven't.
Yeah, I know. I can feel like there's still stuff there.
Well, it's the emotion.
Yeah.
You have to get through the emotional layer to get to the belief that's really keeping you anchored, and it's making you reject the idea or the idea of purpose. It's making you reject like helping people in a way because it's like you don't want to buy into that savior thing, but then unconsciously you'll do it anyway. And that's
Yeah.
what's attracting the people who are like, Jesus will save you or whatever, because it like fucking grinds your gears, like it irritates you, and the
Yeah.
universe will just keep bringing it back.
Yeah. I feel like it, honestly, to be honest, since that last mushroom trip, I feel like it doesn't bother me anymore as much because I feel like there was a weight of like my mom that came off of me during that trip because I
Mm.
saw her like I saw like her like my projection onto her and her projections onto me. But there is definitely still anger. I could feel it.
Maybe the trip took off like the lid, so to speak, and now
Yeah.
it's like time to dip into the like clear out the muck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.